Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1212 of our daily content grind, and today we're going to do something that is like a little bit of a look back and a little bit of like a historical footnote thing that we can look back on in years to come. So this is going to be just simple as the title says. We're going to look back at the top 10 stories in Transformers of 2024, at least the ones I can remember. I will admit, there's probably a few things that fell through the crack, but this feels like all the really big, substantial stuff that happened. But that said, this is not a proper top 10 because I haven't gone like from the least to the biggest because there's like a flow that needs to go here. Just know these are the 10 biggest news stories, just in general, right? And while I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things people think I should put in there, that's, subjective. I'm happy with the list. I'm happy with the list. And this is something that, we can look back on a few years from now and go, oh, that's what happened in 2024. Oh, right. I remember now. Just to help you keep track of the flow of time, just for any of you, just for any of you Time Lords out there who kind of get confused. Here, this will catch you up. So I think obviously the biggest news story was the release of Transformers 1 and the fact that it was really good. I think defying all expectations, it was really, really good. So according to Rotten Tomatoes, it's only 2 points lower on the proper reviewer scale than Bumblebee was, and it's actually way higher on the audience score than Bumblebee, which I think would balance out to be the best received Transformers movie of all time. And yeah, me and friends still talk about this movie. I still have people coming in, telling me like, did you see Transformers 1? Did you see the new Transformers movie? I had, no lie, I had someone in here this very week ask me that. And we had the exact same conversation of the first trailer looked terrible. I thought it was going to be awful. Like, it's going to be DreamWorks schlock. No, it was really good. It was really good. And it's one of those where, I still have friends that will, bring it up all the time. Or, I still have people quoting, the Megatron speeches. The Rise Up speech. It's a guy on TikTok that's been doing that in my feed for, weeks now. I don't know if it's annoying now or as hysterical. Point being, the movie defied all expectations, not only from the original trailer, but also from just people burned out on the movies in general. We were expecting this to be, different, obviously, because it's animated. It's Chris Hemsworth as Optimus Prime, and it was different in all the best ways. It's everything we needed to see in a new Transformers movie. That brings us to our second story of the year. It flopped. Oh, which sucks. Oh my god, this sucked. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can blame this on. Just for starters, just so you have the numbers. Okay, yeah, worldwide it did $129 million, and they did that off of a $75 million budget, which you would think would be fine. However, the the production budget does not factor in advertising budget, which often is about the same amount as the movie itself. So, and then even Lorenzo de Bonaventura, if you can tolerate his interview performances, has stated in interviews that the production cost might have been as high as $147 million, which that probably is the number after you take into account the advertising for the movie. The advertising, which was, as I will continue to say, awful. But if that number is true, that means that it did not even make back its budget, which is unfortunate for a movie that really should not have failed. We have no idea how it's doing in the streaming market. Hopefully it regained some ground there. Hopefully it did enough in streaming numbers to let Paramount go, yeah, well, okay, we'll give it one more try and we'll actually market it better this time. It's Paramount, so they probably won't market it better, because I don't think Paramount is capable of marketing this better. We pretty much chalked this up to two things. One would be audience fatigue. Too many bad movies in this franchise for audiences to really keep coming back to them. Just generally tired of Transformers in general. But we also blame this on Paramount doing a complete lackluster job of promoting the movie. As we stated, the first trailer was garbage that made you think that this was just some weird animated comedy movie for kids. No, this story had heart. There was real situations going on. People died, like this was a brutal movie. And if they had conveyed that properly, oh boy, that would have been what could have been. So yeah, the movie is different, and what we needed was different. But unfortunately, Paramount decided to make the movie seem like every other animated kids movie out there today, which kind of did away that whole spirit of let's do something new. And speaking of media failing, it's the year we found out that Tspark was canceled. This is again something that I put on Paramount. When it was, for starters, Paramount's a terrible partner for a streaming platform because it's a very, very low numbered subscription service, way below Netflix or Disney Plus or Amazon. And really, like, even when they put it on Nickelodeon, they put it at the worst times in their schedule, and they shift the times around, since the debut. And that's always going to kill a show every single time. Now, you know me on this channel. I defend this show every chance I get because I do think, despite season 2 definitely not hitting the heights of season 1, I do still think it is an overall good show. It is floating somewhere in my mind below animated and above Cyberverse. And I'm not sure where exactly it's going to eventually land. That's going to depend on the supposed 8 episodes we still have to go. But I know from every time I do my episode reviews, which I need to do the finale for season 3, I still need to do the review for the finale for there. I understand that a lot of you out there don't like the show, that you just, you don't like the story, you don't like the animation, etc., etc. And that's all fine. That's all well and good. That's your opinion. You're entitled to it. Let's also be honest there. There's a lot of people in the fandom that did a lot of damage to this show. Just by, just bad faith arguing this show into the ground, because let's be completely honest about this, okay? Let's be adults here. They didn't like the ethnicity of the main cast. They didn't like the fact that there's a non-binary character. And I'm sorry. It is so disappointing to me that we can have people in this fandom who have been around for decades, who should know every hero in this series, who should have nothing but respect and love for Optimus Prime, who, wear his name and use his image as your Twitter avatar, and then completely ignore his main line of freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Because there are clearly those who don't want some people to have their freedom, and they're in this fandom, and I hate that. It's frustrating because this show is getting dogged on for reasons that it really shouldn't. Like, those are not faults. Those are not bad things. And if you think that is a bad thing, I'm sorry. You don't have to make a big deal out of it. You don't have to ruin someone else's good time. You take your biased opinion, your misguided opinion, you don't share it, and you walk away so we can enjoy our good time over here. You don't need to open your mouth. It's the only ranting I'm going to do. I'm just fed up with it. Oh well. So, but still, I'm mostly blaming Paramount just being a bad partner. Between the movies and how this TV show is handled, I think it's obvious that Paramount's really to blame in a lot of Transformers media failing these days. But thankfully, it's not all bad in the realm of Transformers media. The Skybound books are doing fantastic. So, it's cut off because I didn't size the image correctly. But this is a list of Eisner Award winners, which is, for basically, your Emmys or your Oscars for comic books. And Transformers wins for Best Continuing Series in 2024. beating out anything from Marvel or DC for that title. And that's a really, really cool thing for it to do. That's a really cool thing for it to do. Keep in mind, the comic book is still fairly young. You know, like at the beginning of the year, they're only up to issue like 3 or 4, and it's already winning awards. The first issue of the Skybound book has been reprinted 10 times. That's insane. It's like it's like nearly unprecedented. Like there's very, very few books that have such ridiculously high demand. This was outselling Marvel and DC some months. That's crazy. You know, and it, you know, all the credit in the world to like everyone behind those books. They are really, really good. You know, I can't wait for another issue to be out so we can talk about those books again. So congratulations to Skybound. Congratulations. I had my doubts. You've completely obliterated them. You've done incredibly well for yourselves and for this franchise. 2024 was also the year we finally made it into the Toy Hall of Fame. This is so long overdue. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're going to tell me a box made it in, or a stick made it in before Transformers did. We kind of went through this on the news roundup before then. Like, there's a lot of weird entries, and I understand why they get in, but like, I wouldn't put in like Magic the Gathering as a toy, or Dungeons and Dragons even as a Toy Hall of Fame thing. You know, not ahead of like Transformers. You know, like, it's weird to me. I understand. I'm entirely biased. But it is a franchise that has done remarkable things for toys over and over and over again. You know, it took America by storm when it first came out in the 80s. It beat every other transforming toy brand that tried to ape on it. It was the dominant brand in, you know, for boys of the 80s. You know, and then when the live action movies hit in 2007, it became the dominant brand again. You know, and it didn't really let go of that for a long time. So again, like, it's you know, and the fact that it has been continuously on shelves somewhere in the world, they've been putting out new product somewhere in the world for 40 years, and to only now make it into the Toy Hall of Fame is absurd to me. But you know what? It's where it deserves to be. Thankfully, it is finally in there. I don't have to campaign anymore. You know, it's good to see. You know, Transformers getting its flowers. You know, even if it is just like, okay, it's a museum that set up their own Hall of Fame. It just happens to be like popular enough that now it's like the Hall of Fame for toys. Okay, fine. I will accept that. I'll accept that. You know, it's a weird thing, but hey, it's worth noting. It's a major thing for Transformers to be recognized. John Warden rejoined the Transformers brand team. I know where you think this is going. Let's put the brakes on really quick. We'll get to that. At the time of this news dropping, ignoring what happens later, at the time of this news dropping, let's be honest here, there was actual trepidation in the fandom over this. Now, for the most part, a lot of people were happy to see him back. You know, he was part of this brand for over a decade, led us through some of the most successful times in the Transformers fandom. You know, personally, you know, was part of like some of the best runs of toys that we had. That said, he got a lot of criticism for having so much focus on Generation 1 product during his run. Once in a blue moon, some other character would sneak in, a Skybite here, a Waspinator there, but for the most part, everything he did was Generation 1 based, and that is something that a lot of fans just didn't like. They grew up with Armada, they grew up with Cybertron, they wanted to see their shows represented in the big boy Generations brand. I can understand having that level of frustration. But that aside, there's a sense of adventure to John Warden's take on G1 that I think goes underappreciated. You know, his is the regime that gave us things like Earth modes for Cup and Scourge, and proper vehicle mode for for Perceptor. So we could get those characters on the shelves matching like other stuff at the time, you know, like movie stuff or whatnot. and giving us new interpretations of the classics, which is something that I think is sorely lacking right now. You get playful Optimus Primes and occasionally playful Bumblebees, but really, let's be honest here, Generations toys, when they do G1, are safe. Now, they are branching out more these days. They're getting into the Unicron trilogy. You know, we have the occasional Beast Wars character showing up. They're even going into Japanese characters. But for the most part, G1 stuff since, you know, he left after Kingdom have been fairly safe. You know, it's been just kind of like make them accurate and that's it. And there aren't really many other interpretations. You know, there aren't any fun reimaginings. You know, and that's something that I really like from his previous work. You know, it's something that I feel has been missing. You know, like Thrilling 30 had that kind of stuff, but, you know, whatever we called 40, that was kind of, you know, that kind of wasn't there. You know, and his era did give us things like, you know, our return of combiners and headmasters, as well as offbeat G1 characters, you know, like from IDW's run. You know, we got Nautica, which we need a better one, but we got Drift, who we also need a new one, but that first Drift was really good. So it was a mixed bag, but I think for the most part, it was good. All right, so I think it was like mostly excitement to see him come back. 6 months later, they fired him. Now, I will give you the update because it's the first thing I checked. No, to my knowledge, he has not been picked up by any other toy company yet. Like, I would have thought, like, Mattel or Playmates or someone, Jada, something, would have swept him up by now because he's got so much talent and experience. But unfortunately, to this date, I have not seen that. I will say the GoFundMe that they started for helping with his wife's medical treatments, that was successfully funded. Good job on everybody. I'm very proud of all of you. And they've set up a little like fund with it to keep them solvent until he finds a job. And that's all good. It's all good. It's good to know that they are doing okay. But yeah, I'm still hoping for the best for him. I'm still like fingers crossed that someone picks him up because he's way too talented not to pick up. Like, yeah, it shouldn't have taken this long. But hopefully he does well. Hopefully he finally lands on his feet this year. Hope everyone there is going to be doing okay. We started the year finding out that the new HasLab was going to be Omega Prime from RID 2001, and this is again met with mixed reception. So, on one hand, great. You know, those are two fantastic designs to do brand new modern versions of, and as HasLabs, they're going to have so much room to do really cool things with them, and they do cool things with them. They've improved a lot of things from the original toys. A lot of people got really frustrated because they felt like these should be Commander releases. Now, we've argued on this channel many times why this would be completely undoable. Number one, Hasbro has stated that to make these Commander-sized, they would have to be smaller than their intention was, which means they wouldn't be big enough for Ultra Magnus to be a car carrier. Also, I'm sorry, RID 2001 fanboys, Magnus would die a death at retail if he was released on his own. It's not the Ultra Magnus that the general public knows or wants. And to take that kind of risk on a $90 figure is frankly dumb. It just is. Hasbro stated numerous times that if you want this set to do everything that it does, the high articulation, the full combining and transforming, all the new fixes and articulation the original toys didn't have, HasLab was the only approach that they had. Could this have been sold in some weird way that was still widely available, like an Amazon exclusive? Probably. There might have been enough in there. But really, I feel like this was the only way it was going to do everything that it needed to do. So I was always okay with this. It's got a very long production time to it. We aren't expecting this till like fall or winter of this year. Which is a long, long wait to find out, to start getting this in hand and, to actually figure out if all this was worth it, But the rest of HasLabs have been good, like very minor missteps with them, but nothing that's game breaking. All of them have been pretty good so far. So I have nothing but faith in this one, that these will be really good toys when we finally start talking about them toward the end of the year. Let's see. Takara is not going to be outdone. Takara announced Tspark, which has been a ridiculous project with ridiculous things happening. For starters, crossovers that I never thought we would ever get to have. You know, Tspark has included things like the Godzilla releases, which aren't great. But then we have like the Optimus Prime Rathalos on the way. A Monster Hunter collab? Absolutely. Give me an entire line of that. And then we have a transforming Liger. Like, that's insane. Like a Zoid transformer. Jeez, how long did you sit on that one before pulling the trigger? Way too long. That's how long. So it's been exciting. Like, just seeing all the different crossover products they've been putting out. And just like, it just feels like really, really special. And then they go and dump Adamus Machina on top of it, of all things. And that's kind of become the face of Tspark, has been that Rodimus. You know, it just looks so freaking good. You know, if we want to roll Takara in general, like I think the drop of missing Link, and you know, is also a huge deal. But like this one is like their all-encompassing project. And it has so much promise if they keep it up. You know, I want to keep seeing things out of Adamus Machina, especially. Because this Rodimus has looked absolutely fantastic. It's like an alternate to a masterpiece, you know? Like lesser characters, but incredible attention to detail. It's looking so good. I'm really excited for it. And what this could be, going forward. Like, if this was the first volley of Tspark, oh my God, can you imagine what else we're in for? And that's just the Transformer side of things. Like the announcement of a new Genesis Gaigar, like their own Zoids, Zoids model kits in-house instead of Kotobukiya's attempts. Like, yeah, like the whole thing. The whole thing is incredible. And I'm looking forward to so much of it. And our final news story of the week, or of the year, I should say, of the year 2024, we do have, of course, the announcement of Age of the Primes. And this came with a lot of little things that had me wondering how the next year or two of this franchise is going to go. So obviously it's built around the 13 Primes. We've been really excited about it. A lot of people have been asking me questions in the monthly Q&A about the Primes. And we also, of course, have all the leaks and reveals that, have us really excited for what's to come. And it comes with a few other things that have me curious. So for starters, we're getting a 2-year line out of this, which is already odd because we've been going in trilogies for so long that to say, like, you're going to have all 13 Primes in the next 2 years. Like, are we? Is this line only lasting 2 years? This is when you realize John Warden was probably not the only one canned from Hasbro, or at least from the, well, I know, like, they had a whole round of layoffs, so no, like, obviously that. But not the only one from the Transformer team. There were likely other cuts from Transformers. Keep in mind, Transformers and toys in general are on a 2-year cycle. From the first drawing of what the next upcoming toys could be, to actually having a physical piece in hand, 2-year wait time. So, if they did bring in John Warden to oversee future projects and products, and then abruptly, fired him, that would mean anything they were planning got completely cut off. So, yeah, this seems to follow in that 2-year cycle, and whatever follows this is going to be completely different. So it's an announcement that, weirdly enough, has me more excited for 2027 of all, because that's the one where things are going to get interesting. Because we might be seeing a complete reboot. We might see a complete, shift of what Generations does. We might see a merging of the brands. The other part of the Age of the Primes announcement that still holds my attention is the fact that the packaging was designed to match Studio Series. And while Studio Series also shifted in packaging, not nearly as much. It still looks mostly the same, just flashed up a little bit. But the fact that those boxes are now nearly identical genuinely has me wondering if we are going toward a future where there aren't 2 or 3 different Transformer lines going at the same time, if we're seeing a downsizing of the brand or a merger of the product. So, in the future, there might only be one Generations line, or we might even integrate We might go back to the way it was, where like there's a line for a TV show and then a line for a movie. There's a movie coming out and that's it. It genuinely has me wondering what direction that the brand is going in after the next 2 years are up. It's curious times. The toy line itself is exciting. Don't get me wrong. I love that we're getting 2 more combiners in the Sunbow style, because I actually happen to like those. And I'm glad that we are getting all the primes, and even characters beside them in the waves sound pretty good. It's overall sounding like a really fun line. But because of the short cycle and because of the merged packaging designs, I'm genuinely wondering what's going on with this franchise. So we have to wait and find out. It will be a while before we find out. So yeah, like I said, come back to this video in a couple of years and let me know what's going on. But for me, those are the 10 biggest stories of the year. There's some ups, some downs. The fiction is unfortunately mostly down, but we've got Cyberworld on the horizon, potentially a G.I. Joe movie crossover if that didn't get canned. We have things to look forward to. Oh, and maybe Reactivate will actually activate for once. Yeah, I would have put that as one of the top stories, but I'm sorry, not having news is not news. So we'll wait and see if they make any kind of news in 2025. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it as always. And of course, I will see you next time.
You've been waiting a long time, haven't you? But the wait's almost over. You're about to meet the brightest star in the universe. We're going to make an impact.